Welcome everybody back to Friar Talk. We're going live Sunday night, almost 11 o'clock my time, almost 8 o'clock your guys' time. Yeah, we're going live talking about this Yankees Padres series. They start out, they lose. The first game was absolutely brutal. Second game, you got to see Tatis's home run day, and so you're thinking, okay, hopefully this is gonna, kind of get him out of his slump that he's been in. And then today, good team win, good pitching. Musgrove looked good. Chase and I were just talking. Jeremiah went insane. He went nuclear. And you saw not really fight back, but you saw the Padres offense, come score late in the game and then end up taking that one. And I think a lot of people are probably like, you don't want to, I don't know, you don't like I don't know, like you're not freaking out because you lost to the Yankees. The Yankees are red hot. They're a really good team. You take one of three. Obviously, that's not ideal, but you went 3-3 this week, and I kind of did some predictions because I went live. Was it Tuesday? I think before these two series, the Reds and the Yankees, and I was like, hey, I think you're gonna kind of split this week, and if you split this week, the next couple weeks after that, that's when it really starts mattering when you start pushing yourself above 500. So yeah, right now the Padres have basically they cannot go like a game below 500 or a game or past a game below or above 500. That's what it feels like this season, because every time they get like one game up above 500, they drop back down, and then they come back, and then they go at 500. So it's been the same thing where they've just consistently been right at 500. It feels like almost after every week. It feels like every single time we stream on Sunday, Chase, that they're back at 500. Like no matter what week it's been this whole year. But you take 1-3 against the Yankees, dude. What are your your takeaways of this series? How you feeling, man?
Darvish had his bad game, which it came off with 3 home runs, which that's kind of been Darvish's kryptonite the past couple of years. Is when he gives up runs, it's usually due to the long ball. It's usually due to the balls getting hit hard. Yeah, that's okay. Yesterday, you lose 4-1. It's whatever. You didn't get shut out. Thankfully, you didn't get shut out. That's one of the things is like you don't want to get shut out 2 games in a row. Yes, it's only because of Tatis home run in the 8th, but hey, it's a Tatis home run when he's been struggling to barrel the ball, and it's kind of just good signs to come. And then you put it all together for a win against the Yankees on the 3rd game today, which is great. Team hit well. Musgrove did his thing. It was nice to see Musgrove command everything. I didn't really get to watch the game. I was at the Diamondbacks game today, but from what I saw, he commanded his pitch as well. Shout out Jeremiah for being a huge part of this win. After Musgrove gave up that one double to Soto for them to score the 1 run, he sat those guys down. I mean, he got put against the heart of the lineup, and he sat 5 guys down in a row. I believe in the 6th with the 1 out, he struck out Judge and Dougie Verdugo, and then he sat down Stanton, Rizzo, and Gleyber Torres right after that. And those are no slouches. Those are all big guys coming from the Yankees. And he came in for 5 outs and had 5 strikeouts. That's incredible. Yeah, Suarez gave up a home run today, but hey, you know what? A win is a win. The bullpen's been great. Jeremiah has been on fire. His stuff is looking phenomenal. And that happens, when you have 2 relievers that can kind of flip-flop roles depending on what the matchups are, you have a lethal bullpen. Like Matsui's been good. Suarez has been fantastic. Now you have Jeremiah to add on top of that. And not even mentioning Wandy Peralta or Adrian Morejon, who has been incredible too. You like when guys have a rough outing, or hey, you know what, they're like, okay, maybe we just need 5 innings from this guy. You can go to the bullpen and have confidence in that. It wasn't like it was last year sometimes, or even a couple years ago, where you would go to the bullpen and you're like, okay, is it going to be solid today? Or are we going to get the gooey see? Or are we going to, is Hader going to walk the bases loaded and make everyone crap their pants again and wonder if he's going to get out of it? It's one of those things. It just feels a lot nicer when your bullpen is doing that. Yeah, starters had a couple of rough outings before, but hey, I'd much rather have those rough outings now, like Darvish get his rough outing out of the way now, than it come down the line when we really need a strong outing. Every pitcher's going to have those days. Darvish had his. Let's flush it down the toilet and continue going forward. We got the Marlins up next, which I got to preview today. They really couldn't hit. They ended up scoring 3 runs on like some bloops. But of course, the one day I was like, yeah, you know what? The Diamondbacks should win today. Ryan Weathers is pitching. He throws like 6 shutout innings against the Diamondbacks. From what the looks of it, the Diamondbacks guys, they're still not that great at the plate. Ketel's doing good. Corbin Carroll's still looking lost. But hey, that's just good, better for us because that means one less guy competing for the wild card spot. But other than that, Padres are looking good. Hopefully we can get above, a few games above 500, not this back and forth stuff like you keep mentioning. I was like, oh, cool, we're down below 500. Oh, now we're back at 500. Next week, we're going to be like 2 games above 500 and then fall back to 500. It's just the way the ship goes.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude, because you really, at the end of the year, like when it comes playoff time, especially with how this year has looked, it seems like you're going to need like 84, 85 wins to get in. And a lot of times you feel like more comfortable, like 87, 88, right? Like to make the playoffs. But this year, like the NL just seems like not that good. I think we all kind of feel that and have all kind of seen that. Right now, you're tied with the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Cardinals right behind. The Cubs are only a game up. Also, the Braves, they just had a big blow. Ronald Acuna out for the year. Chase, did you see that?
I did see that, which is really unfortunate. I love Acuna.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened like a few minutes ago that they announced it, but he's out for the year. So, and the Braves have not looked like as good as the Braves have in past years. They're already kind of banged up. Their pitching isn't as good. So, unfortunate for them. You're never rooting for an injury, especially when it's like a guy like Ronald Acuna. But I think that's a team that's like, hey, let's kind of see what's going on with them because they might be taking a big step back. I know he hasn't played that great this year, but yeah, Strider and Acuna. This is very fair. Those are like my 2 favorite non-Padres to watch. The 2 of the most fun guys to watch. Like if you're thinking of like, okay, who's the most entertaining pitcher to watch? It's probably Strider. He might not put up the best numbers, but like the dude is a strikeout machine. He's super fun. And then Acuna, what does he do? He hits bombs and he steals bases. Like, all right, dude, sign me up. But I feel like, yeah, that is rough. That is really rough. But I feel like, yeah, you look at this team and like kind of looking back into the numbers again. Like I want to go through these. We already went through the bullpen numbers last time. Dude, holy crap, the bullpen has been so good. And then you look at the Padres, the lineup, Arias, right? His OPS doesn't really jump off the page, not crazy. But bro, I don't even care. Like that's where sometimes I look at these like advanced numbers where it's like, all right, dude, are we really gonna value OPS is high for a guy like Arias? Because like you just feel the impact he has on the top of the order. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Tatis was in a big slump. And I maybe we'll talk about him. Like if he has a bad week this week, maybe middle of the week, like we'll talk about him, have a little chat about just where he's at. But honestly, I kind of feel like he's on the cusp of maybe starting to break out a little bit. But you saw his comments right after he hit the bomb. He didn't do his little strut thing where he like hops back.
He hasn't been playing well. He's not going to be a swaggy. He's going to be focused on playing better, basically.
Which is probably the most grown-up thing Tatis has said to the media, right? Probably like the most like humbled I've ever heard him sound. But that's good, dude. That's what we want to see, dude. Like he is struggling. We do need to see that. It's a lot better than the like, yeah, we'll wait till we get hot, like jump on the bandwagon when we get hot. We don't want to see that. Speaking of that guy, Manny Machado, like I know his numbers aren't like way up and like he's kind of gone up and down, but he's been making some big time hits this past week. I feel like he had a lot of like, oh, double here, double here. He's still finding it. He's still not the best, but you're feeling the defense. You're feeling him at third. And you're starting to see him have like, it feels like almost like a decent hit in every single win that they have, which like we've talked about, we're going to need to see Manny make a lot of these big hits because that's usually when the Padres are doing really well is when Manny's making those big time hits. So there's that aspect. You look at the rest of the lineup right now. Kim had a couple hits today. His numbers haven't really been that good. It's been kind of disappointing year for him so far. Campy's he's having an okay year. Profar is finally starting to cool down, which definitely sucks. But hopefully it's just this series. Hopefully he starts to heat back up again because his OPS is at now just at 900. Not that that's not amazing for Jerks and Profar, but a little bummer. Same with Cronenworth too. Cronenworth is at exactly 800. So those guys were completely carrying. Now it's time for the load to kind of come back on to Tatis and Manny, and I think that's fair. I think that's what we've been kind of asking to see. The bullpen playing terrific, super good. You're not going to get every single guy coming out there throwing a shutout inning, but I mean, this bullpen has been as good as anyone could have asked, I feel like, especially lately, because early on in the year, it looked like, oh, God, this looks like this bullpen might suck. You remember that, dude? It was like, oh, this is really scary. And then all of a sudden, they do bring Jeremiah up, which we were like, dude, you got to bring Jeremiah up. He's been probably the best reliever in baseball, right? Like, I know he has a little bit less appearances.
Like 2 weeks. What is he? He has a 0.59 ERA now? It's ridiculous, dude. His numbers just jump off the page right now. It's let's see, 15.1 innings, 0.59 ERA, 0.59 WHIP, 25 strikeouts in 15 innings.
That's wild, bro. That is wild.
So wild. Like, what? Doesn't have his K through 9 up here, but on MLB I bet that's just ridiculous numbers.
So yeah, you're seeing that, and then coming up this series, you got the Marlins. It's Michael King, Matt Waldron, and then Yu Darvish, right? Yu Darvish is the last one. It should be, yeah. Yu Darvish is the last one. So, dude, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when they played the Rockies, and I think this is the same thing. But it's like you need to forget winning the series. You need to sweep some of these series. You need to get some momentum. You need to get a big okay, we got to sweep here. Let's start building up this over 500 opposed to just kind of hanging around 500. And I think it's going to be the same commentary we're going to keep having. But yeah, I mean, what else are we kind of thinking over here? I see Solano versus Peralta at DH. I mean, I think it just depends lefty-righty matchup, right? That's how you're playing it?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, what else we got? I think this is a good one. Manny's at bats have been better besides him chasing the slider 12 feet off the plate today. I mean, yeah, but Manny's always a little bit susceptible to that slider.
That's always been his thing, though. Any decent slider away, you always watch him kind of – he usually fouls them off, to be fair. He usually fouls them off. But he's always swinging off at sliders down and low away off the plate. It's been his vice for the entire time he's been on the Padres.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, what else are we thinking here, man? We got some guys in the chat right now. Our recordings have been kind of random. We had 3 live streams this week, and usually we just have the one, and then we have some videos, but it was just like, all right, we can do a stream. Might as well just do a quick stream today. I think we'll probably go back to do a couple videos throughout this week, maybe. And then we'll do another live stream next Sunday. But yeah, man, I mean, what are we thinking? Like, what are we feeling right now? I know that it's kind of a weird part of the baseball season where it's just like you're kind of waiting to see. It's not really trade season yet, but it's just like everyone just kind of focused on the games, and it's like, okay, they're kind of hanging around 500,
It's one of those things like where there's a lot of things that we could talk about, but like at the same time, we've talked about most of the things already. And when you think about it, it's like, okay, who's struggling? Well, it's Tatis, Manny, and Kim. Merrill is still getting on base and hitting the ball. He's just not hitting it hard or hitting for any sort of power. It just matches his OPS. Let me see what he's slugging right now. I'm pretty sure the reason his OPS is so high is because of his on base percentage.
Yeah, he's not slugging very high. It's like under 400, like well under 400, right?
It's 362. His on base should be a little bit higher, but honestly, it's not horrible. If he sits around like a 330 on base, it would look a lot better. It'd look a lot nicer. But he's not doing bad. It's going to be one of those things. I know it was one of the things that we were worrying about with Merrill is with his swing path and the way that he hits the ball. He hits a lot of balls that are just not elevated. And sure, he gets hits, he gets on base, but it's always singles. Maybe occasionally he hits the ball for a line drive for a double, but it was one of those things where you looked at it and he goes, he's hitting the ball hard. He's hitting it constantly. It's just they're ground balls. They're getting out of the infield for hits, but it's nowhere for it's like it's kind of rough because what you really need, the Padres need right now, is slugging, and all our sluggers are struggling except for Profar. Cronenworth, has an 800 OPS. He hits his doubles every now and again. He doesn't really hit home runs, but that's kind of what we're missing is the long ball. Arias has been really, really hot. He gets the ball, gets on base constantly, gets a ton of hits. But hey, if we can't continue to just drive guys in from second base because all our guys are struggling and not hitting home runs, we need one guy to be like, you know what, we got a couple guys on base. Let me hit a home run, and we just don't get that a lot.
Dude, it's true. It's very rare that you've seen this year like a 3-run shot or even a 2-run shot. Like so rare for the Padres. And their home run numbers aren't like way off, but it's a lot of solo shots. It's a lot of that. I see people talking about Merrill a little bit. Merrill's rookie year bound. I think definitely not, right? Like, I mean, we were talking about it when we were talking about like, I mean, yeah,
but it's
just
probably
based
going
on
to
his,
Imanaga.
yeah, yeah, 100%. But also based on his numbers aren't like, I mean, if you look on Baseball Savant, if you put on his Baseball Savant page and they have like the batting value, he is in the bottom 25 percentile in the league. And he's hit it. He has under a 680 OPS. If you watch him and you've been watching him, you're like, dude, this guy hits for good average. Like anyone that's been watching the Padres year round, they're very satisfied with what, and this is how I feel. I think this is how you feel. Very satisfied with what we've seen from Jackson Merrill. And I think it's good. It's a good step. But when we were talking about his predictions and stuff, we were like, yeah, like low 700s would be a really good year. Well, what are we looking at now? Low 700s are a lot. That's 40 points up, 30, 40 points up from where he's at right now. And a lot of people feel like he's probably had a solid rookie year, So I think that's where a lot of people like were thinking that he was going to come out and have like an 800 OPS or something. It's like, dude,
I think I said 770 on the high end. I was
like
hoping
the max,
for, I think
yeah.
it's 730.
And you were talking
for like a 730.
Yeah, you were talking like right around league average. That was kind of where you're at. But I mean, you look at his numbers, it's like, okay, he's well below league average in OPS. Now, his expecting batting average, top 10 percentile in MLB. That's all. And we talked about that. He's gonna get a lot of hits, but he doesn't walk like a ton because he chases a lot of pitches and stuff, and they're pretty aggressive with him, but he doesn't have the pop yet. And we talked about that coming, you're gonna make adjustments and whatnot. That's also not really his game, but still a great guy at the bottom of the order. He's been great defensively. And that's where he's a plus player. He's 100% a plus player. And so if you're a rookie and you're a plus player and you have things to work on, especially when it's your bat, like that's a very good sign for things to come. He's fast. He's a good base runner. He feels like he's clutch, right? Like I've always felt like he's clutch when he comes up. Like I like when he comes up in big spots. I'm like, all right, here we go. I guess his numbers don't say that because with scoring position, he has a 239 average and 541 OPS. But I felt like he was.
It's like one of those things where it's against the good teams where he comes through. He may not come through like all the time against the small teams, but like he had those couple hits against. He tears the cover off the ball against the Dodgers, and it's one of those things where like, hey, you know what? If you have a under 700 OPS for the year, we'll take it. But if you kill the Dodgers and allow us to beat the Dodgers, you got my heart.
Yeah. Also, fun one with Jackson Merrill. I brought up is he clutch? He feels clutch, but he doesn't have great numbers in scoring position. In late close situations, he has a 429 average and a 1100 OPS.
Yeah,
it's only 6 hits, but it's like, okay, he's got the big hits, and he's walked a bunch of times and stuff. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, that's why we're feeling that, because when he came up late in those like really clutch spots, that's when he's came up clutch. And like you said, a lot of those have been against really good teams too. I also think biggest thing about Jackson Merrill, yeah, he's a big upgrade over Grisham. And that's what we do. That's what we've been talking about. Like having this year's Cronenworth over last year's Cronenworth, massive upgrade. Having, and I know it's not the case right now, but Arise as your DH, right? Like that would be, in theory, a huge a massive upgrade, like probably one of the bigger upgrades in the league of any position. But yeah, I mean, that Merrill's been a huge upgrade, and the fielding's been there, and like He projects to be a cheap, controllable asset for the Padres for many years to come. He's going to get better. He's going to get more filled out. Like, this is where he's getting into the league. He's playing the game kind of how he does. Next year, you know what it's going to be all about? Oh, Jackson Merrill added 15 pounds of weight. Jackson Merrill, like seriously, that's what it's going to be. Like, Jackson, you're laughing at this comment?
Well, no, just the 15 pounds of weight is, I think, as long as he's gonna still continue to grow, put on like weight and muscle naturally. I don't think it's gonna be like anything drastic, like 15 pounds. Just because you still got to play center, you still got to be quick. He's a center fielder. He's not gonna be like Mike Trout or anything, hitting 40 bombs. Hey, if we can get 15 bombs and like a 280 average out of him, I'm golden. That's all you really need. You have Tatis, you have Manny, you now have Arias, you have Cronenworth. Hopefully Campy gets out and starts slugging again. We have sluggers. We need guys that, can occasionally hit a home run but have high averages. That's if he can turn into like another, not to the extent, but like Arias where he just gets on base and gets hits constantly no matter how much he slugs. The Padres could be really successful with another one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, what is it right now? Like 2 or 3? I think that's a couple.
Yeah.
I think something that we probably should bring up. Oh my God. I don't really want to do this. I feel bad, but holy crap, dude! Look at this page.
Campy?
Huh? Campy. But also keep in mind that Campy's backup is
Higgy,
and he's horrible. He's awful.
Yes,
He's really, really, really bad.
I know.
So yeah, you're gonna need to upgrade your backup catcher, but dude, this is way worse than I would have expected. Look at that,
Dude,
man.
I hate his batting stance. It was working. It was.
Defense, we talked about the defense to improving last year. Not that great. Like, it's okay, but then look at this year. Oh, God.
His pop time, though.
Oh, the pop time, though. But, like, look, doesn't throw guys out, doesn't block the ball, has the worst framing in the league.
You know what's funny? Is his pop time went up, but his caught stealing stuff went down.
Yeah, you don't have, what the hell? Dude, also, last year, like, he was tearing the cover off the dude. Yeah, I agree. I hate the stance. It seems like it takes away from his power, does it not? Like, he's so opened up that it doesn't look like he drives the ball that well.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Because remember, I got to watch him fucking nail a couple at spring training. His power is still there. However, sometimes I think it's one of those things where the mechanics of his swing are now working against him, because if one little part of his mechanics is off, he's not going to generate as much power. He's going to be late. He's not going to see the ball as well as if he went back to his old stance. And it's like, there's a lot of timing in it. It's an open stance with your arms here. As soon as the ball comes, you got to get back here. And now you're into a fastball, curveball on top of having to make sure your shift is weight. It's a lot of things. I think it's too busy of a stance and it needs to be simplified a little bit down. If he wants to keep his hands in front of him, that's great. But then he can't do that giant leg kick because it's just another timing mechanism that needs to be worked on. It works for some people. It was working, but now you need to make an adjustment. Let's simplify something. Hey, you know what? If we're going to keep the hands in front here, we're not going to take a giant high kick step as that. We're going to maybe do like a little slide or do like what little Goldie does. Okay, we're going to turn our front foot and then turn it back as a timing mechanism, but also making sure that we're using our legs and driving the hips to create swing speed. Something in that swing has got to give, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. Also, it just felt weird too, like when he came out with that stance like in spring, and it was like, why does he have a different stance? He was fantastic last year. Like, look at his number, dude. Like, look at this stuff from last year. I mean, his numbers, but
know.
also let me go back to Savon real quick. Dude, look at this. Why would you
I
change
didn't
it?
get it. He was tearing the cover off the ball.
And it's like
It
it's one
felt
of
like
those
a necessary change, and then it started to work, and so we couldn't say anything. But now that it's not working, it's like, okay, dude, you were tearing the cover off the ball last year, and then you changed your stance. You're still doing well, but what happened? Where'd it go?
I mean, dude, his slugging is down over 100 points this year. Like he's still hitting mid 200s, right? Like it's not like the average isn't there. I mean, we know he doesn't walk that much. That's always been the case though. But he was slugging the ball a lot last year. And obviously like he didn't play. I mean, he had roughly like the same plate appearances last year as right now. One more game and they'll be even. But dude, like it's all because the slugging's not there. And he only has a couple he hits in like basically the same amount of time. He had 7 home runs versus 4. Because he's not getting extra base hits, because he's not driving the ball, it's because he's not ripping it. Like that's what it is. So obviously that's like almost half the home runs, but still, like I feel like that is one of the bigger things, and it just seems odd, you know. It just seems and the thing that's annoying is like if he's hitting really well, like he was last year, not even as good as that, but like you know, pretty damn good. It's such a drastic improvement that you have in your lineup than most other teams have. Because if you have a catcher that can hit, dude, like there's only a couple guys, there's only a few catchers that can hit. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes it so good. That's why a while back we wanted, what was it, Sean Murphy? The dude got traded to the Braves. Yeah, because it was like, dude, like that would be such a perfect trade guy. Like you want to go and get him, and the Braves do it, and then it's like, damn, look at that was a good move.
Like Sean Murphy blasted what 40?
I don't know. Let's see what he's been doing this year.
That Braves team last year was so ridiculous in the amount of home runs they hit. Everybody had at least like 30. It was ridiculous.
He only had 21, but he had a
Really?
mid 800. Yeah, he had a mid 800 OPS. Yeah. He also had 21 doubles. You know, he only played
30 extra base hits. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think he also played. He only had 370 at bats. He only played in 108 games, so he didn't play like that crazy amount, which is probably because he's a catcher. I don't remember if he got banged up or not, but like that's obviously not your full season. But yeah, dude, I mean, he was mashing the ball. 21 home runs and 370 at bats is really good.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, dude. I mean, yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing, and like it's just such a mad upgrade if you can get Campy to start performing well, because at the bottom of your lineup you have that. If Kim starts to bounce back a little bit, which I don't know, dude. What do you feel about Ha-Seong Kim? Just like offensively, we know who he is defensively. It feels like he's just been down for like not even like since like this year started. The end of last year was not too kind on Ha-Seong Kim. And I think we kind of all like came into this year like, at least like us three, were like, I don't think he's gonna go that crazy. And then people started talking about the contracts he was gonna get, and they were like really crazy. I feel like that's kind of taking a step back down now too.
Which I think works in our advantage because I really like Ha-Seong Kim. I want to keep him. I think last year is what we should kind of expect, if not a little regression. He just he went 2 for 3 today. He is capable of still being what he was last year for like the beginning part of last year, not the end. He has the capacity to do that. He has the talent to do so. I think it's one of those things where there's a little more lineup security, and like when Machado and them get a little bit hotter and they're going to actually have to face Kim more. Now everybody's a little bit cold, and it's like, okay, we can kind of just go and pitch on to the next guy, and the next guy, and the next guy. When everybody's getting hot and there's a lot more lineup security, I think we're going to see a lot of, like, we'll see Merrill getting better pitches and making, slugging a little bit more. I'll see Kim slugging a little bit more. I haven't seen too many of Kim's at-bats. I'm not going to lie. It's one of those things where he doesn't barrel a ball a ton. He kind of like he hits the ball, but it's not hard, and it usually falls for like a little bit of a single. and sometimes he gets a little challenged by velocity. If he shortens up his swing just a little bit, I think some of those problems go away. He probably make contact a little bit harder. He barrels it a little bit more, but I don't think there's going to be. I think last year, not his ceiling. His ceiling is probably a little bit more than that, but nothing even close to like what people were expecting this year. If we can get what he finish off with, like a 720 OPS last year.
749.
Oh, I almost said something. Dude, if he finishes off with like a 730 this year, we should be really happy.
Yeah, I mean he's sitting at 695 right now. A lot of the expected numbers are roughly the same that they were last year. Like if you actually go take a look at them, it's like, okay, this is almost the exact same thing. But he had 17 bombs last year.
Unlucky.
What?
So it sounds like he's just been a little unlucky and not as many home runs.
Yeah. He also stole 38 bases last year.
Oh my God, I did not realize.
Dude, I didn't realize that either. That's a lot of steals.
I know he stole some bags. I know he swiped some bags, but 38 just seems a little high.
That was a very sneaky 38 steals, huh? Right now he's at 13.
It was.
Get a little bit more aggressive on that.
Still, 13 is still a lot.
That's still pretty good, yeah. But I mean, he's fast. Like he's very fast. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I want to see what his splits were, because I want to say that he really started falling off at the end. Huh?
It's also one of those things where we're facing a lot of righties, and Kim usually kind of tears the cover off the ball against lefties.
Yeah. Okay. Last year, for instance, he had just under a 900 OPS against lefties, and against righties, he had 681.
Yeah.
Last year, this year? Dude, this is a thing. Last year, so he started out 550. This is his month by month. I'll just go OPS. 556.
Well, it was also he was hitting leadoff. He went insane in the leadoff.
Well, dude, this is where it is. May 808, and I think that's when like partway through they put him at leadoff. Then 844 in June, 1,000 in July, 750 in August, and then he dropped down and had such a horrible September. He had a 494 OPS in September. So he really, really fell off at the end of the year last year. This year he's been pretty consistent, just under 700 in both April and May. So, and also weirdly enough, he's been kind of not that good against lefties. 650 OPS against lefties, 710 against righties. He's been better against righties than any year of his career, I believe, this year. Weird. But yeah, I mean, you like lefties. Yeah. Obviously Bogart's been out, which we talked about it, but it's like he finally was heating up too. That sucks. But yeah, dude, I don't know what else you got, man. What else? We got any other questions over here? I know that we kind of went over a lot of this stuff, but I'm trying to think of who else to talk about. I feel like there's not really too much right now.
It's like one of those things where we can talk about Donovan Solano and David Peralta, but we also haven't seen a lot of them. They don't have that many at bats. They mainly are DHing. Like, they're going to play a little bit more in the infield now or outfield just because of the bogey injury, but they're mainly just DHs. And Tyler Wade's kind of been pushed off to the side, which I'm kind of okay with. I
agree. I don't know. I don't think he has like.
He has a lot of positives and could be really, really, really good. Right now, not our whole offense is not.
He's a good base runner.
Don't get me wrong. I think Tyler Wade's a good depth piece. I just don't think he should be like playing consistently. Yeah,
which he's not. See John's comments over here.
Now, we were not clamoring for fam. We were more of.
We weren't that big on fam. We like Belt more. Still like Belt. Still have no problem with going after Belt.
Every man needs a belt. Every team needs a belt.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I feel like right now, I guess I guess I'd say the biggest thing, and maybe we'll wrap up with this, but if you're looking at the Padres right now, what are the biggest needs? If you're looking across the board, you could say reliever. I
Say
don't
lefty
know how.
starter. A lefty
I think
fifth starter.
I think lefty fifth starter too. I think that's the biggest thing, and maybe a guy that could push to be the fourth starter because Michael King is great when he's good, but he's also very up and down. That is the reality of him. You also want to have depth pitching wise. So if Waldron is your sixth guy pitching, dude, I feel a lot better about that, right? I feel a lot,
Waldron
especially after these.
as your backup fifth starter is great.
I'm cool with that, bro. And I feel like we rip Waldron too much. I don't really want to keep ripping Waldron. But yeah, Luzardo, dude, I thought Luzardo was going to be out for the season, but he's pitching this week. I think he's pitching on Monday or Tuesday. Is he? He's back. I'm not paying attention to the Marlins. I'll tell you that much, guys. Like they suck. But I guess
Third worst
he's
team
back.
in baseball.
Oh, the White Sox.
I looked at the standings today. The third worst team. It goes White Sox. Yeah, I think it goes White Sox, Rockies, then Marlins.
So he only missed like a couple weeks, and he's been good since he's came back. He really struggled early on. He missed a couple weeks because he was banged up. Since he's came back, 5 2/3, 2 runs, 6 innings, no earned runs, 8 innings, shutout, 3 hits allowed. Damn.
See, I've always liked Jesus Luzardo. He just has never put it all together. And if he puts it, him and Niebla would be so good together.
That is a good guy to trade. I don't know, but are they really going to try to trade for him? Like, because he's probably going to cost way more. I mean, if he's like, he has 2 years, right? I'm looking at his contract right now. I think it's 2 years.
I think it's 2, maybe 3. He hasn't been in the league that long.
He has 3 years, yeah. This year, and then he's a free agent in 27. I mean, if it's the window, he's going to cost a lot, though.
Cheap year. He might not cost a fuck ton because I think they traded Starling Marte for him.
Really?
And that was it. The A's got.
That was a long time ago too.
But that was also with years and years of control.
Yeah, but was he playing?
Yeah,
dude, he has been pitching in the league since 2019.
It's just he's been injured, he's been hurt, he's been very inconsistent up and down.
He's like the ultimate boom bust guy to go after.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, we're talking right now like, oh, you go and you get a fifth starter.
See, the problem is if he continues doing this, then everybody's going to go after him.
Yeah.
If you trade for him now, then it's hey, you know what? This could work out.
How much would you put like that when they were having these Arias trade negotiations, they were like, Pearl was like, well, what about Luzardo too, man? What about Luzardo?
Well, they probably
him
did.
In there? I think 100% right, because Luzardo is definitely a guy that he's been like he would want. Like that's definitely fits the prototype of player that he would go after.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that'd be the best thing for this team. I think it would cost more than people would expect. That's what I honestly think. I think the MLB probably views him higher, and it's just hard when you trade for a guy like when you give up a lot for a guy. It's like, okay, but he's never put it together. That's the part that I think is tough. Like most innings he's ever pitched were last year 178, which is really good. But before that, it was 100, and he's never pitched over 60 besides the last 2 years. That's terrifying. And he also already has an IL stint this year.
He does have a lot of IL stints. In other news, CJ Abrams did another home run today, and Mackenzie Gore is now down to a 3 ERA.
Oh, God. God. I know you've been more positive today talking about this team in general, but I'll say this, and I
miss Gore. I miss Abrams.
No, but this whole thing, like, unless the Padres win a championship or something, the whole Preller or the whole Soto thing is going to be viewed as like one of the worst all-time trade kind of combos ever. And like everyone doesn't want to act like it's going to be, but he's going to re-sign with the Yankees, right? Like I feel extremely confident. Like when he got traded, I was like, oh, they're 100% keeping him, dude. 100%.
That's short. He's going to stay with the short porch.
And it's going to be like, oh yeah, which, and I know like, it's like right now, it's like people don't want to think about that, but it's like, bro, he got traded to the New York Yankees. He was here for a year and a half. They made the playoffs once, like he had a run, but he also won a World Series on the Nationals. So if he does that on the Yankees, it's going to be viewed as like the biggest like fuck up ever. Like it's going to be that level. It's gonna be really bad. And I think people want to like act like it's not, but it's like, dude.
And considering that Abrams and Gore are going bonkers this year,
and Wood,
it's even gonna be worse. And if James Wood has been tearing the goddamn cover off the ball, and if he does that in the MLB, and the Nationals get 3 potential All-Stars,
yeah,
my God.
Which and maybe
everybody's gonna look at Preller like a dumbass.
Yeah, and maybe, dude, like honestly, like maybe it's one of those things too where it's like, okay, like they did all this stuff and like totally screwed up, but they like are changing up how they do everything. Like this year, we're seeing them like try to develop Merrill, try to develop Campy, all that, right? And like hopefully that's the case, but it's still like people don't look back at trades like that. They look back at them as like, what was the net for this? And they'd be like, what the hell? Like that's just what happens. So when that went down, we were like, oh God, this is gonna be bad. This can be so bad. But yeah, I don't know. Good for the Yankees, I guess. But yeah, dude, I mean, I feel like I don't know really if I got much else. I feel like we talk about Soto way too much also, so I don't really want to get too much into him.
And it's one of those things where we can do it like a farm episode, but that's a long topic, and I want to pull up numbers and see how everyone's doing. But like, hey, we have good pitching prospects, and I really don't want to get rid of them for another guy, because then it just delays the fact that we don't have any pitching prospects. Because we had a couple coming up. We had Gore, who was he was in the majors, and then we traded him for Soto. And then we had Iriarte, who could have potentially been in the majors, and then we traded him away. And now we have Lesko and Snelling and Muzar, and he could be up at the end of this year, but even then, most likely not going to get up until next year, maybe 2026. And you're starting to think about it. Having like one controllable pitcher, like having a Mackenzie Gore on your team, like not even just like having a pitcher that's ready to pitch in the MLB that you can continue to grow, would be insane right now for salary purposes.
Well, dude, and in 2021, you felt that with Mackenzie Gore. Like Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams weren't like doing anything crazy, but like you were like, dude, like this is good. Like they're up here, they're contributing. And they get moved, and it's kind of like, yeah, like it was all fine that year. But then after that, like the aftermath is like, oh, shit. And I get why they did it. Like I'm not gonna act like it didn't make any sense. Like they were trying to win a ship, So like you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but it is like now it's like, and I think with the pitchers it's big. Like that's why I think looking at talking about trading for Luzardo, I don't really love it because they're probably gonna have to give up a lot, and they're probably not gonna have that then. And then in 2 years down the road, it's like, okay, well you don't have Luzardo anymore. And now it's like, well, okay, like, it's just not the best spot. But I mean, I don't want them to necessarily stand pat at the deadline, but I think trading like a lot, like doing like a big move is not what they should be after. That's what I think.
You don't need a big move here. You have a good team. Your bullpen's really solid. You need a left-handed starter. It doesn't have to be the top guy on the market. It could be a guy with like a 4 ERA. As long as he can eat up innings and, throw a 4 ERA ball the rest of the season, or maybe even potentially get fixed up by blowing and get better, I'm okay with it. You don't need to make some extravagant move, and that's all Preller does.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for hopping on, talking ball. Maybe we'll get some stuff out later this week. We'll see. Hopefully this Marlins series is a sweep, at least 2 out of 3. You gotta win in this one, bro. You gotta start getting some wins. You gotta start feeling excited about this team getting a few games over 500, being better than mediocre. I want to see them be better than mediocre. So that's what I'm really rooting for here. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Chase, think you're all done too, man. You got anything else? Last thoughts?
Good.
All right, sweet. Thank you all for hopping on. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great rest of your night, and go Padres.